My story is like a symphony rising from silence, a victory song emerging from within obstacles. I was born into a world without sound, but that didn't mean my dreams would stay silent. My first words were hidden in the shapes I drew with my hands. My fingers danced in the air, carrying emotions that sounds could not. Whenever my mother looked into my eyes, she would always say, "Lucas, you will shape the world with your hands." But shaping that world wasn't easy. Growing up as a deaf and gay child sometimes felt like trying to find my way through a maze. I was trying to discover who I was while proving that I belonged to this world. In elementary school, I couldn't join in on the other kids' games during recess. I could only sense their laughter and shouting through vibrations. But that didn't stop me. I remember those silent afternoons when I would throw rocks at the old basketball hoop in the yard. Every throw was a new dream. "Lucas scores a three-pointer," I would whisper to myself. That hoop was like a silent friend celebrating my victories. The place I felt the freest was underwater. My first swimming lesson felt like stepping into a world made not of water, but of sky. My inability to hear became an advantage in the silence of the pool. Underwater, I was like everyone else, sometimes even faster. I began collecting medals at a young age. My coaches would say, "This kid is a natural swimmer." But for me, swimming wasn't just a sport. It was an escape. By the time I reached high school, I wasn't just swimming. I was chasing my dreams. When preparing for university entrance exams, I would study late into the night. One night, my mother came into my room and placed a cup of tea on my desk. In the silence between the books, she signed with her hands. "You're tired, but I know you'll succeed." And I did. I passed my exams despite my hearing impairment. I learned English. The discipline I gained through swimming opened the door to Erasmus. At university, I earned the chance to study in England for a semester. During my time in London, I felt both lost and rediscovered. In London, I openly lived my identity for the first time. I watched couples holding hands in the parks. I wasn't afraid. Perhaps for the first time, even without a voice, I felt heard. During those days in London, someone entered my life. I met him in the university library. It was a warm March morning. I was lost among the bookshelves when we accidentally bumped into each other. His books scattered to the floor. As we bent down to pick them up at the same time, our eyes met. For a moment, time seemed to stop. His name was Oliver. When we first met, he told me he had always wanted to learn sign language. It was the first time I met someone who made an effort to understand me. Every lunch break spent in the library, we built a connection beyond words. A few weeks later, as we walked through the misty streets of London, he held my hand. My heart raced, as if I had just dived into a swimming competition. I remember that moment as a victory. Not water, not medals, not books. That day, my greatest achievement was loving without fear. Oliver became the most beautiful part of my adventure in London. But life sometimes tucks away its most beautiful moments for a while. When Erasmus ended, I returned to Istanbul, and he stayed in London. Before I left, he gave me a notebook. Inside, he had written, "Your silence is one of the most powerful melodies in the world. Keep writing your story, Lucas. One day, our paths will cross again." I still keep that notebook. Sometimes, as I flip through its pages, I feel the cool air of London and Oliver's smile. Life went on. But that love continues to live silently in my heart. And I know that everything has its time. That year, another dream of mine came true. I began writing my first book. Its title was Be the Miracle. That book wasn't just a story, it was a call to action. I wanted to be the voice of someone who had overcome obstacles. When the book was published, the responses I received deeply moved me. One reader wrote, "You have broken barriers to become a free individual. I especially congratulate you for leaving behind such a work in this country." My journey didn't end there. I kept swimming. I placed first in the national team selections and represented my country at the Olympics in Taiwan. I ranked 6th in Europe. I won medals, but what I truly won was belief in myself. Today, I am 30 years old. I'm still swimming, still writing, and I am still raising victory songs from silence. Even in a world without sound, I believe every individual can write their own symphony. Dear young people, whoever you are, Love yourselves. The miracle of life is within you,